2024 is going to be a big year, I think. If everything goes as it's kind of expected to go, and we get ETF approval in January, that will be great for the market. We'll see, we'll see. I think we'll see big price action for Bitcoin, and I think that will eventually feed into ETH and altcoins. So, a spot ETF will definitely, I think, pump the market. 2024 is going to be big. Crypto is slowly but surely getting past some of these big hurdles. There is so much good news on the horizon.
Today we have Guy from Coin Bureau giving us his updated prediction for crypto and why the coming cycle and price action will be massive. He says the coming bull market could begin to explode in the last month of 2023. With crypto being one of the biggest investments this year, Guy says that he's remaining bullish on digital assets after significantly increasing his position size during the last bear market. He gives a portfolio update on which crypto assets have the biggest upside in the coming months, and why in 2024 we'll see unbelievable capital pouring into the space. With major pension funds and institutional investors on board for the coming cycle, Guy predicts that crypto is on track to be the largest asset class in history. He believes this cycle will separate itself, as devalued fiat currencies will push more adoption into the crypto market and bring in more capital than we've ever seen. Also, we have partnered with our friends over at Jamie Tree Finance, who have just launched a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a fantastic analysis of on-chain crypto data and breakdowns, and the best part, it's absolutely free. So to give out as much value to you as possible, we're sending out a 5-minute daily newsletter which will cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news that you need to know, all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description and enter your email to join over 5,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now.
Another thing to look out for, I think, is in March when SBF is sentenced. Now, obviously, he's been found guilty. That chapter is kind of closing. But I do think that could be a big moment, that, we get that sort of final closure on SBF. He's sent off to prison for however long. And I hope that that moment sort of changes people's outlook on crypto, because this has been such a huge story. When you step out of the crypto bubble, everyone else, they're only, the only thing they're really aware of when it comes to crypto is FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. And I think hopefully putting that to bed, so to speak, will be a moment where people sort of focus, on more positive aspects of crypto. We should hopefully have an ETF by that point. And then, of course, the following month, April, is when the halving is scheduled to happen. And historically, this has been a narrative that mainstream media are kind of better able to understand with Bitcoin. The supply gets cut in half. So those supply and demand dynamics come into play. That is a fairly easy narrative to understand. It's a fairly easy narrative to report on. So I would hope, what with a potentially, most likely spot ETFs available for Bitcoin, Sam Bankman-Fried not troubling us for many decades to come, and the halving, I would think that should hopefully change the narrative around Bitcoin and crypto more widely. And I think that is when, we can start really sort of dreaming of a proper bull market coming around. I think now is the time to buy Bitcoin. I really do. I bought some myself recently. I topped up my stack a few days ago. Obviously, I wish I'd done it sooner. Maybe when it was chopping around sort of 25k and no one was really interested or paying attention. But then suddenly this ETF narrative came along and caught a lot of people, myself included, by surprise. But yeah, look, we've got big institutional players lining up, and the reason that they're lining up is because their clients want it. BlackRock is filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF because its clients have asked them for it, and ditto all these other asset managers as well. There is huge pent-up demand for Bitcoin, and when these ETFs launch, they may not be, out of the gates, they may not be kind of what everyone's expecting. I'm not sure if we would kind of shoot to new all-time highs straight away. But yeah, over time, more and more people are going to want exposure to Bitcoin. There is a lot of money sitting there that will eventually get allocated to Bitcoin. And I think, we will look back and go, do you remember when Bitcoin was below 40K? Wow. So I think now is perhaps as good a time as any. I think probably in order to keep your sanity and not sort of be constantly refreshing the Bitcoin charts, I would just DCA. I would just allocate a certain amount that you can afford to lose, of course, but a certain amount that you can afford, either maybe every week or every month, and you just go in at that particular point regardless. And that is a strategy that's been proven to work pretty well. And so if you're not sure, you just allocate regardless of what the price is doing. You build your stack slowly and steadily, and that I think is a good idea, especially for people who don't want to kind of dive head first into crypto and completely immerse themselves in that world, because that is a fairly big commitment. If some people just want exposure to Bitcoin, dollar cost averaging, DCAing slowly is as good a way as any.
Embracing an unyielding enthusiasm for the crypto realm, Guy predicts that explosive growth is looming on the horizon. As BlackRock and many other crypto giants are doing, he reassures that a long-expected surge awaits, leading up to the highly anticipated 2024 halving event for Bitcoin.
I think Ethereum is, it's a very different thing to Bitcoin. I think this is an important thing for people new to the space to understand. People talk about there being competition between Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's like they're very different things. Ethereum is this network upon which so much of this layer one upon which so much of crypto is built. Whereas Bitcoin at the moment is kind of more that store of value narrative, even though we're seeing exciting things like ordinals come along and change the game a little bit. But yeah, Ethereum underpins so much of the crypto ecosystem. And even if you're not a fan of Ethereum, even if you prefer some of the other layer one blockchains out there, or you're more of an interoperability person, you like those layer zero projects like Cosmos, for example, even if you don't like Ethereum, you can't get away from the fact that a huge amount of the crypto ecosystem is built upon it. And yes, Ethereum still has a lot of work to do. Yes, gas fees are insanely high, really. It's much cheaper to do a lot of this stuff on other blockchains, sure. But the amount of development going on in the Ethereum ecosystem is just staggering. And so, although I think a spot ETF is going to be great news, it's obviously going to help with ETH's price in the long term. I think what's more important is how much is happening on Ethereum. Now, recently we've seen network activity on Ethereum take a bit of a dip, and ETH actually went inflationary again. It now seems to be picking up again, but there is all this competition from those other layer ones. But I've been bullish on Ethereum's future for as long as I can remember, and that hasn't changed. It's still got a lot of challenges to do. But I mean, look, last year with the merge, this huge transition from proof of work to proof of stake, the Ethereum team pulled that off. It worked, this massive change to the network. So I'm confident that they're going to be able to handle all the other changes, all the other developments, further evolution that needs to happen in Ethereum. So yeah, I think an ETH ETF is interesting, but it doesn't change my outlook much for Ethereum. I mean, ETH tends to lag Bitcoin by one cycle. But certainly, as you say, the tokenomics have changed so much, and now the more Ethereum gets used, the more ETH gets burned, and therefore the less there is available. So in terms of price, I mean, where are we now? We're sort of hovering around the $2,000 mark. I think we could go to top of the next cycle. I think we could go I would be targeting around 5K sort of minimum. But I think it could get as high as maybe, I'm not sure 10K necessarily. I think it could get as high as maybe 8K at the top of this cycle. One thing I think is worth bearing in mind, though, is that even though we've got all this network activity happening on Ethereum, we've also got all these layer 2s building on Ethereum as well, which don't necessarily result in the burning of ETH. So that could be something to bear in mind. But again, it all feeds into just how massive Ethereum is. So yeah, I'm confident that there are bright days ahead for Ethereum, and yeah, whether we get to 10K, I'm not sure, but I think 5K would be fairly not too unrealistic.
As an investor, Guy has made many diverse moves with crypto in the primary position. In his portfolio, technology ranks as the second fastest horse, yielding significant returns, proving that his strategy is a recipe for success. Emphasizing that during bull cycles driven by adoption and speculation, cryptocurrencies tend to outperform liquidity measures. Based on his findings, Guy strongly advocates for the strategic investment in cryptocurrencies, specifically highlighting Bitcoin and Ether as promising assets. He sees them as assets that surpass the performance of traditional financial institutions, balance sheets, and provide a means of protection against currency debasement and the inherent flaws of the current financial system. What do you think about Guy from Coin Bureau's investment strategy in the coming months? Will we see a major breakout for Bitcoin before the end of 2023? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next video.